Take one. Artocast.
We're going. What do you think?
All right, we on?
Yeah, check, testing 1, 2.
Check. Here we are again, Artocast. It's been what, like a month almost?
I don't know. No one will notice because we
got a half moon tonight.
We do have a half moon.
We got a half moon, and Neff's Canyon's on fire.
There's a canyon on fire?
Yep.
Okay.
So you can catch a red half moon.
A red half moon?
Yep.
The burn moon.
Yep. The burning moon.
The burning moon.
Yep.
We always talking about moons.
I know, because it's magical. It helps people.
What's magical is who we...
Oh, are you kidding me? This guy's magical as a motherfucker.
Yeah. Josh is he was like, we tricked another person to come in here.
We did. We tricked people. Like
He's fresh off the road.
We make it look like we're really cool, but we're just a bunch of idiots.
Right?
Artists.
Professionals from over
there.
There
We go.
For sure.
Yeah. But hey, so let's get to it then.
Introduce. Introduction.
I've seen a lot of his art around the streets, asking people about him. And Mr. Rogers is right.
There you go.
Josh, everybody.
Let's bring him up.
Yeah,
come on.
Thanks for the intro.
Oh, you bet.
Thank you for coming. Mic check. It's the paintbrush work.
We get real cool people in.
Yeah,
mic check.
That's good.
Yeah, we're good.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We're glad to have you here, man.
No, thanks
we're
for
back.
having me.
It's been a while. It's been a month since we recorded, and like I always say, we're here to archive artists. We're here to just let people tell their story. You don't know if you're going to have kids in the future, or your nieces and nephews want to hear this 20 years from now. We're just here to archive people.
Or grandma.
And we're here to talk about art and positive things. So let's start out and just introduce yourself. Throw out some hashtags so people can follow you, or whatever we need to do to promote your art.
Awesome. No, thanks for having me. My name's Josh Scheuerman. It's German, and so no one knows how to spell it ever since I was a kid. So if we're going Instagram, it's J Scheuerman, which is SCHEUERMAN, and that's it. My grandfather took off the other N, so it is even more German. It used to be in Wyoming, Worland, Wyoming, where my family ended up. I think they felt too German to be in the Worland, Wyoming. So just Jay Scheuerman, and was born and raised here in West Valley City.
Nice.
So that's Best Valley City, is like
local.
Best Valley.
He's a local, folks. We got a local.
Best Valley.
Best Valley.
And so just grew up there, and then lived my childhood there, and it was all fields and farms, and I grew up with farmers. My family's
those are the good old days.
Yeah, there's dirt jumps.
That was just apartment buildings everywhere.
I mean, everywhere is apartment buildings and condos and sprawls and suburbs, but no, it was like I grew up next to or down the street from Valley View Drive-In, like from a drive-in. So we used to go sneak over there and watch movies, and then the other way there was a farm, like horses and a barn we used to go sneak into.
You ever build a tree hut?
Several. Yeah.
Tree huts were the shit.
He talks about tree huts.
Tree houses, and here's the thing with tree houses.
Heck yeah.
It was the best babysitting that I think parents now need to do a lot more of this. Give a kid nails and a fucking hammer and say, go build something outside.
Yeah.
And we had at my grandma's at the point of the mountain. It was just fields and nothing else out, and then they had 14 acres. And we built a 3-story tree house. The barn had collapsed over a couple of years, and they didn't need it any longer. So every Sunday we'd go and pull planks of wood off the barn. We'd crawl up on the broken roof, pull off boards, go take them to the tree, and start building this elaborate tree house. And no one ever came out and checked on us. No one was like, are the kids safe? Are they strapped in? Or they have a harness in?
Nothing.
No, you're building a tree house. And we weren't structural engineers.
We could have been.
I think, as you think, like, how do you make this stronger? You throw in 10 more fucking nails.
Well, my buddy, when we were building one once, his dad had one of those, like, hammer, like old school, like, almost like a gun, nail gun. Like, you just hammer the end of it, and it's like...
Oh, yeah. It's like
What is that?
Is it the ram shot?
I think so. I don't know.
One of those? Why would you use that on a...
Well, I mean, they have 22 cartridges in them, right? Those are the ones. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is he playing with kids with a 22 cartridge?
I mean, they're rad.
That's how life was back
then. Like, so the treehouse was built. This is just a short story, but like a tree limb had broke off, but it wasn't completely down. And my grandpa was like, "Oh, we got to get that branch down." I was like, I'll climb up there and cut it off." It's a 12-year-old. He's like, "No, I'm just getting the shotgun." And so he goes and gets the shotgun and cocks it and like shoots 6 rounds into the tree branch until it breaks off, like with bird pellet, like buckshot.
Yeah.
And shoots the limb out of the tree, like just shooting into the sky. Like you don't do that now.
Yeah.
But different times.
Different times. Well, let's get into art. That's what we're here for. Take us into your infancy of your introduction and intrigue into art.
Art is powerful, and art is amazing. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. So when I was growing up in West Valley, like 2 things in hindsight that I realized after the fact. When I was born, I was dropped on my head. My brother pulled me off the table and dropped me on my head. And so, for better or worse, I didn't speak for like 3 years. So I was delayed speech, and so when I started talking, I had a lisp, so I couldn't say my R's or S's. My name's Josh Scheuerman. So it was like, Josh Scheuerman. And one of my best friends was Aaron, and it would be Erwin. I guess I couldn't say A's too, or R's or S's. And so that kind of, I was made fun of, and I didn't realize like that was a thing. Because I couldn't hear myself.
When you're young too, you're so wild.
Yeah.
And you're like a pup, like it doesn't matter what's wrong with you. You're just like looking to have fun.
Exactly. Like you're just out riding bikes, and like I couldn't hear myself have a speech impediment. So, and then when I started school, it wasn't until like 5th or 6th grade that I went to speech therapy.
Mm-hmm. Been there, done that too.
Yeah.
My teacher.
Speech therapy.
Here we go. Shout out speech therapy.
I should have went. My sister teaches.
Resource kid too.
Yes. And I think like no one knows really like, and this is a different age, so.
Oh yeah.
I got to, so I was always getting in trouble in elementary, and I was like the most calm kid. I just wasn't paying attention to the class. And so I remember getting in trouble a lot and just drawing a lot on my desk. I wasn't paying attention because I couldn't see the chalkboard.
Yeah.
Like I actually I'm nearsighted. So So I was nearsighted and a speech impediment, and I always got in trouble. I never knew like why I was getting in trouble.
You're like walking through a blurry psychedelic world
at
like young age.
I didn't know that there was like leaves on trees and people saw leaves on trees. I just saw green shapes.
Wow.
And I saw I didn't know what I saw.
I've definitely felt that way, man.
And so it wasn't until 7th grade that I actually got glasses, and then I could see. And then in 6th grade I had resource in speech therapy. So by the time I hit 7th grade, I was like barely catching up to the rest of. I mean, what is 7th grade? Like 11 years old? 10 years old?
Math was my problem.
Oh, it still is my problem. And I people say it's like left-handed, right-handed, and like math, I still don't understand.
I don't like the complications of it. Like, just like, a train leaves San Francisco. We've talked about this before. Like, what time will it arrive in Salt Lake City? Like, it's like I don't give a fuck what time.
Yeah, like I don't give a fuck. I'm not on the train. So like, but here's an analogy that I figured out like maybe 10 years ago is people who are good at math. Like we're good at art, right?
Yeah.
So if I tell you,
I'm good, I tried.
Well, but here's an analogy which I think would work out. So if I tell you, picture a goat eating grass on a hill.
Yeah.
Close your eyes.
I can paint it.
You can paint it.
Yeah.
Because you can see it, right?
Yeah.
There's the goat, there's the grass, there's a little
I might
rocks.
use a little bit of reference from the internet, but I can do
in your brain you can see what a goat looks like and a mountain on.
Yeah.
So what I realized is like,
I want a wizard next to it with the staff.
oh, dude, the wizard's always there. Whether he's invisible or not, he's always there.
Wizard of Ogden.
Wizard of Ogden. Shut up.
You know him?
But
You know him?
no, I saw the podcast.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
But but what math people do, and I forget it's left or right, like that's left, right, opposite time, whatever. But people who can see
up on us all the time.
people who can see math can see what the numbers do, and it's a visual thing. So like they see the formulas that I have to memorize, that we have to memorize.
Yeah.
Like they just like, oh shit, like this number here, boom boom. It's like that expanded thing where you're watching the Hollywood movie where it's like the guy gets the math finally. Like they see that all the time. And I look at it, it's like a 2D like numbers. I don't know what the fuck they do. Yeah. I don't know how they interact. I don't know what they do. Yeah. I have to learn all those things. Whereas someone who's like, oh, I could never paint. I'm like, well, you fucking tried? Like, have you tried? I can only draw stick figures. Like,
I say that
have you tried?
I'm like, I can't draw or paint. I'm like, yeah, you can.
Right.
Like, look at Jackson Pollock. Look at all these artists that have come along, especially nowadays. Like, modern art is just blown it wide open. Like, anybody can fucking do it. But it takes a little bit of skill to weave into that.
But that's the same thing as like having like these. It's our skill set that needs to like improve too to do some math, you know. And I think we have that, and I've always downplayed it. Like I can't do that, and when people say I can't do art, it's the same fucking thing. Like I'm telling myself that I can't do that, and I need to stop doing that because
strange dichotomy.
I'm reinforcing the thing that I'm telling other people to do. Like challenge your fears. Like do art, do something that's out of your comfort zone. And then I'm doing the same fucking thing by saying I can't do math. Like yes, it's challenging, right? But I should not say that because it's doing the same thing that's detrimental to myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've always had a challenge. So, like, once I got glasses and I talked better.
Yeah.
I love that sentence. Like,
crazy.
Talked better.
Your vision improved your speech.
Yeah, and
that's magical right there.
Yep. And
that's magic.
And I finally then I got into art classes. So when I was getting in trouble in elementary, it was because I couldn't see what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so instead of that, I was drawing dragons and castles and demons and just my older brothers were into D&D. And
D&D was D&D. So dope back in, we could go on a rampage about that.
Warhammer, D&D, like the books. You get the books and you see the monsters you gotta fight, and you're like, I'm gonna draw that monster. Like I'm gonna draw.
Yeah.
And then you get the Warhammer stuff, and you're like, what?
Do you remember BattleTech?
Oh, BattleTech? Are you insane? Of course I remember BattleTech.
BattleTech was the shit.
No, Robotech was the shit.
Robotech was good
Robotech.
too. Yeah.
And at the same time, like we were talking about this earlier, like Transformers, like just kid stuff. Like I loved drawing, robots, dinosaurs, like dragons, anything mythical or like imaginary. That's what I was drawing instead of paying attention because I couldn't see the board. My world was like 3 feet in front of me.
Nice. For
about 10 years. And so, I couldn't even play sports because, and I'm not good at group sports. Because when we play like softball and baseball, I couldn't see the ball coming to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to throw it.
Probably a hell of a golfer then.
I'm like, where'd it go? And so, like, I was always bad at those traditional sports, and so that's why I gravitated towards skateboarding in late high school year. I mean junior high years, because it was something I could do by myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like a chump for like not knowing, like I couldn't see the people that I was playing with. I couldn't see the baseball coming out my face. I couldn't see, you know, and so I was disadvantaged in that. And so by the time, you know, high school comes, everyone has a sport, they're really good at it. And I just started skateboarding at that point.
There you go.
Because you could do it by yourself in your driveway. And I had already signed off on like playing traditional sports. I was like, I'm just not, that's not me.
Yeah. I don't know. I was always like a group sports guy. I love basketball for some reason. But,
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
When I grew up,
I was later in life when I thought, hey, I could have played
for
high school, but then I was like, I wasn't interested in that stuff during the time when it was around.
Well, here, like, the church league is like fucking blood sport. Like, the church ball.
That shit's dope.
It's like blood
that
sport.
shit for years.
Yeah, I know.
It's awesome, dude.
And that's like
so competitive.
No, it's all elbows and it's all fucking like.
It's like back in the 80s, they used to have fights back in the church parking lot, you know? Like, hey!
Pull the jerseys over the
bishop
head,
comes out, everybody calm down! And punches the bishop.
Yeah, so I mean, that was the stuff that. And I wish it was just, I was better at it because I wanted to be with my friends doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, then I'd just be in the church parking lot skating while they were doing the blood sport, fucking MMA basketball league, which is more involved.
MMA basketball. Yeah, no, dude, that's classic that you grew up in the same era. We always talk, that's what we're here for because it's all the old schoolers. Where did you, from that progression of finally getting your vision, that you grew like maybe in your middle period of your art?
Yeah.
Before you're now like a muralist and like people look up to you like you know like where was the middle period? Where did you cut your teeth basically?
Fuck, there's a lot of middle period. The beginning, like once I started getting out of so I was raised in West Valley, and my best friend's older brother was in the Decomposers. Aaron Anderson was the original singer, and
it's like old straight edge shit.
No, it was like punk rock, but not punk rock. It was like rock and roll. And so we started getting like, cause he was into music from high school. As soon as we had the ability to like get out in a car, we found Ranch Records in Sugar House.
Shout out Ranch.
And so some older guys. So T-Bone has like 3 older brothers. He's my best friend, Tyler, and they were all in the music like scene here growing up. So they were like 3 to 6 years older. So they were already doing the Sugar House scene, the Speedway Cafe. Like they were already doing like that stuff. We were too young, but just a generation before us, Dustin Yerby and some other friends worked at Ranch Records. So we'd go out from West Valley to Sugar House, and that's when Heavy Metal Shop was still in Sugar House.
Nice.
And that's
I remember those days.
The Jenko Jean Shop.
Jenko
Jeans.
Shout out.
You remember that?
So like Jenko Jeans, and like we're skating, so it's like, you know, early 90s, and so it's like Jenko Jeans, Ranch Records there in the old by the where the old location was, where all Whole Foods is, and Heavy Metal
like
Shop
around the side street.
street, and then Whole Foods was just a parking lot basically back then. And so we started going out, and then Salt City CD. Salt City CD on 9th and 9th. So we started like exploring music and exploring like our environment more.
Wizards and
Dreams. Shout out to Wizards and Dreams. I saw that one clip and I'm like, oh yeah, there was Wizards and Dreams there in the corner.
If anyone remembers Cosmic Airplane though, that's going way back.
So there's like precursors of all this, but like, you know, high school, by the time I hit high school, I'm Jenko Jean, hemp wearing necklace, like smoking weed, eating mushroom, kind of like expanded my mind as a 17-year-old. Like you know what you're doing. Like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's no roadmap.
You're getting out of control.
But you're certainly off the fucking road at that point. Wearing hemp necklaces.
There's a lot of casualties in that kind of category. Like,
there is.
Like you're navigating like a razor blade. Like you're walking on a razor blade and your friends are falling off. Like you're like, lucky I made it through because I saw a lot.
Well, and you don't even.
What's your flavor?
That one.
A lot of psychedelic casualties.
Well, and I think, I think this should be said. So when we were introduced to psychedelics, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of where we're going. We're gonna go through the timeline.
Yeah. We're going through the middle.
But when we were like growing up, like, you go to Wizard and Dreams, you're like, oh my god, like black lights and like, but you can't find drugs. Like you're still 17 unless you're like in a really bad spot or your family's in a really bad spot. Like we grew up poor, but I was still raised LDS. So like, we
faith was the key.
We were kept kind of away from like most things that were super detrimental, but when we started, like we found mushrooms, we found them, and like for the next 5 years, I thought if you ate mushrooms, you ate 1/8 of them.
That was not good.
That is not what you do.
That is not what you do.
No, you don't do that.
No. You microdose them. Sorry, I didn't cut that from the film. I didn't say that.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like
that's the secret.
What I get that secret, but what we did was like ate the mushrooms because it's like that's how it came, so that's what we thought the dosage was, and it's like that shit's scary because you don't know, you don't have the capacity and experience of life to like understand what is happening around you or who you are, like and so that didn't really play a part, but it was like you're introduced to these new experiences and you're like going out and
Did you start to see art in life? Did you start to express yourself through those feelings and create art through that? Were you like the geek that would like not go out and party and like just stay home and sketch?
Yeah, like I mean I kept sketching even so in high school, same thing, like even my friends and I, well, one of my friends we'd draw a picture in each period, and then we'd pass it to him, and then he'd add to it. So you like add
That's
to
a cool
the art
game, dude.
So then by the end of the day, like you have this totally different piece of art that you started with in the day, and we'd do that a lot. And then I just kept drawing my notebooks, and even into college, like I just drew when the teacher or professor is talking.
Oh, I just did that all the time.
I mean, I couldn't get away, and that was just childhood. Like doodle, this guy's talking. I don't care anymore, doodle.
But I could listen better when I was doodling.
Yeah,
I think it was almost like juggling. Like I could listen better. Like if I could just like kind of like sketch something while the guy was talking.
Yeah, because
and then write down like he said that Abraham Lincoln was so and so.
But if I stare at him, and probably what you're saying is like, if I stare at the dude, I'm like, my mind just drifts instantly. Within like 5 minutes, I have no idea what he's talking about anymore.
Yeah.
And so, like, I didn't really start. So, right after high school, I went down to Dixie, and it was great because right when I was in the counseling office for some reason right before graduation. And they're
trying to figure out finances.
Yeah, well, not even finances. Like if I'm gonna graduate, and then someone because I had to take summer school to graduate, and I passed my algebra. I mean, I failed my algebra 3-4, so they weren't gonna graduate me.
I failed algebra 5 times. Dude.
Oh, I still don't have a degree because of algebra 3-4, but
that's the artist's bane.
It is like
algebra is like the artist's killer.
It's the worst, and it's so not needed. It's insane.
Yeah. We got phones now, they're going to think for us.
Yeah. My algebra teacher in high school was like, you need to learn this because you're never going to carry a calculator around with you every day.
You're like,
and I'm like,
Steve
what?
Steve Jobs!
You know how often I use it? Hardly ever. But I think once I got out of high school and I applied to Dixie, and that was the only place I applied. And they would take anyone at that point. It was a junior college.
Yeah.
So I went down to Dixie, 1 semester late. I was figuring some stuff out.
I went there without a high school diploma.
Oh, they let anyone in there.
But I took an assessment test before I got it, and I passed or something. And I stayed No, Dixie. I went to Dixie for one.
Yeah, but like the equivalency, like I showed up and I had to take every class again, the prerequisite for the college.
Yes, they do.
No, because I didn't know but I was there with friends and I was there with people from high school. So it was like the first time living out. It was a 2 year still. It was 97, 99. So it was 2 year. Everyone treated like a joke. Even like I think the professors. Like I did have some really good professors, but I didn't take art. I took the DJ course. So I was like a DJ. Yeah.
In the radio? The radio?
Yeah, radio. Yeah, radio station.
Did you have a
You were on there?
I did the radio for a while.
Yeah, so I was a DJ at D91 as well.
I had radio, but I wasn't allowed in there. I mean, my friend was, and I took the class, and I kind of did some stuff, but I'd take over for him sometimes.
Oh, it's DJ.
But they didn't like me, and I'd play Fugazi and all kinds of stuff.
I was playing the Fugazi and the Bouncing Souls and the Screeching Weasels and the like stuff that were in St. George in '97. Like,
so I wasn't allowed because of that. And during that time, I think it was about around, I don't know when.
So you got kicked out and they let me on for something.
He wouldn't let me do anymore. I don't know what it's going on.
See you later. I'm now, mother.
Yeah.
And there was like a whole thing. So 2 years I was still not doing art. Like there was art classes there, but I had to do my prereqs before I could actually do any classes there.
Yeah.
But one of those prereqs was radio class.
Nice.
So I was a DJ, and then I don't know where this came from, but I'd read Slug because of Raunch Records and Heavy Metal Shop, like Slug magazine. I was picking those up in high school, and all the other music rags that came out, and I still have them, all those old ones.
We're gonna get JR on here, by the way.
Oh yeah, so
we're gonna get JR on here.
JR should be on here, and then Gianni. So Gianni was the next editor. So I read him in the 90s, and I picked him up. I was skating. I was kind of forming my identity in the way, and in college, for whatever reason, I had this epiphany that I just cut out the masthead for Slug, and I taped it to a piece of paper, and I typed on a typewriter, photo request, date and time and place, and then I copied that so it was a one sheet, and then I started calling the Vegas hotels that were having shows, and I put in a photo request form that I literally made in college campus, and started faxing it to casinos to request tickets for shows. And I don't know where that came from. It just like I'm gonna do this, and it worked. And I started getting photo passes for shows in Vegas.
Yeah.
So for the next year and a half, I was going to concerts, 18 years old, as a photographer. I've never taken a photo class to this day.
Yeah.
It was all
pre-digital or
pre-digital. This was '99. It was all film. I didn't know I didn't know what an aperture was. I didn't know what shutter speed was.
I miss the film days, but I don't. I mean, I failed film because I was I was at the threshold where like digital photography allows you to do so much more.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
But even in high school, when people were doing the photo classes, I didn't do the photo classes. I was doing the pottery because that was an easy A.
Yeah.
You know, you're making a secret bong in the fucking kiln, and it's like, oh yeah, oh no, that's a tree, bro.
There's holes in the branches.
Try to get away with all this thing. And so then, right when I was not graduating, because the last class I failed was Algebra 3-4. So to this day, I still don't have a degree of any kind. Even after 2 years, I almost had my associates. But
I cheated.
Oh man, I wish I would have cheated.
Degree?
I wish I could have cheated.
You don't have a degree.
I cheated I failed algebra like 4 times. I failed it 4 times. I'm like, oh my god, like I can't concentrate on math. Like I just can't concentrate on math.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I said it again.
Yeah,
it's hard for me.
You can, but like I'm not interested in it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not interested, and so a certain friend of mine helped me pass the class.
Thank God, I wish I had that friend or aptitude at the time, because that's still hanging over my head. It's not really I don't think I need a degree. It didn't do anything for me. But what 2 years did is like get me photo passes. It gave me like some self-esteem. Like I was a shy introvert when I went to college.
Yeah.
I was very much didn't have an identity. I was latching on to all different sorts of things when you're trying to figure it out as a teenager. And so having some independence for the first time in my life, and then also like trying to figure out what life is. And right when I was leaving college in '99, I got a photo pass to Woodstock '99.
Nice.
And it came through.
Yo, Rape Fest.
Yeah.
Just joking.
I mean, all the things that happened there, it was like an apocalypse. It was so.
Don't rape me, Nirvana.
Yeah. It was the thing burnt down. It was like it was anarchy. It was a lot of like, whoa, this is happening, and I'm like 20.
Yeah.
And but I got that right when I was leaving. I packed my car up, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta be in Rome, New York in 5 days.
Damn.
And so I drove back here, went there, stopped at the Slug office first, and Gianni, I was like, Johnny, you never met me, but I have a photo pass to Woodstock, and I didn't really say it was for Slug. And he's like, oh, well, if you get photos and you do a story, then you can come back and like print it. So I went to there, watched Woodstock, press tent. I literally walked 14 miles into Rome because there was that much traffic with a backpack on my back, a camera, and I documented like Woodstock burning down, like all the juggalos, like it was, and then flew back, wrote a story, and that was my first one for Slug, and that was in '99. So then I was still like just that much more into music instead of art even. I was just like concerts, like the Bar and Grill was like one of the first ones that I went to, DV8 basement, like DV8 in general. And
dude, the DV8 days, man.
DV8, it was a palace, and then Zephyr,
old school days,
like Zephyr, DV8, yeah.
Oh, I love the Zephyr.
And it was
days.
like that trifecta. It was DV8, Zephyr,
Zephyr
and
days were dope.
Bar and Grill. And Bar and Grill had
so many good bands on Zephyr.
What is it? They had all 8 shows.
The Goat and the
Dead Goat Saloon.
Dead Goat Saloon, DV8, and then there was the one across from.
Remember Spanky's?
No, I don't remember Spanky's.
Spanky's was like next door. It was a pool hall upstairs.
Yeah. Remember Confetti's? Where you could go pick up on
the Goth Girls.
Goth Girls?
Yeah, Confetti's, yeah.
There's Spanky's in LA.
Yeah, like...
Goth Girls are my favorite, sorry.
No, I mean...
Or guys.
Those are the clubs.
No.
Those are the clubs that like...
yours.
I was even intimidated to go to those clubs. I was like, I don't know if I'm that guy. But like... We had a niche, and like everyone had a little set, and so when I started going around, and like then I just turned 21, so like then I could go out and like, but I was still working for Slug, and then you could interview bands and actually go like request forms, like with their real letterhead, not the made up one I made up.
Yeah.
And then for the next 6 years, like I did that, like interview bands, go photograph bands. Sometimes they worked out. So I still didn't understand aperture or shutter speed. I still didn't know low light or high light.
It takes some time.
It takes about $1,000 of like developing shit film that you start to like figure it out.
Takes some time on that shit.
Yeah.
I used to be into that. But when the digital camera came in and you could use the aperture and that shit and then just delete the photo, just like,
I mean, it was good and bad because then you took 1 billion photos. Yeah. Like it was nice to like have a camera, shoot it.
You could learn like twice as quick. You could learn twice as fast as
for sure
traditional film. Like, okay, aperture, shutter, like I failed photography in Westminster because I was using a digital camera at the time where the class was a traditional film camera.
Right.
And I was like, I'm bored with this fucking black room shit.
Yeah, they're doing the black room too, and like,
I'm like, I'm bored.
I don't even know if you need to learn that shit
like
these
2
days.
seconds. I hope they don't.
Yeah. I think it was just a past era tradition that it's way out of date.
Yeah, I love it. I have respect for it, and I think it's an art. But if I don't want to do it, I don't have to.
Right, but the percentage of people who are gonna be Ansel Adams or like, you know, it's a low bar. You just need the eye, and whether the eye captures in black and white or digital or like, you just need the eye.
Yeah.
You know, you just need to like have some composition and be like, hey, you know, this is what I want to express. Like, this is what I want to capture.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I figured that out going to concerts, like hundreds of concerts.
Yeah.
And having taken those remedial like college classes, like I could write then. Like I was writing, and I really enjoy writing, and doing the photos and like doing music reviews, like just trying to have a pulse on this like growing subculture of Salt Lake, which was, I'm 42 now, so there was like a Cosmic Airplane generation before me, then there was the 80s and the punk and the skinhead generation before me in the 80s and early 90s, so I'm like talking about, you know, 2000 moving forward.
Yeah. And
it was still low technology, but it was still a very cohesive, like, tight scene.
I think it was
about what year was this?
Like we're talking the 90s, man.
Doing things for Slug when you came.
99 to 06.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's take it now into where did it immerse into, like, you seem to me like full on now, like you're kind of more immersed in like painting and art rather than, like, I'm sure you still write. We all write.
Right.
Right. You know, so where did you transition where you're like, man, I want to fucking paint a mural?
Yeah, so that kind of all happened within my 20s. I was working with Slug, and we started the snowboard contest, the Slug Games.
Yes.
So we started that in 2000.
Uh-huh.
So I was a lifty, and I started the Slug Games. And it still continues, which is rad. Because there's no like alternative like sports for just little shredders. And so we started the Slug Games, and then next year we started Summer of Death. And so then Slug started getting in the action sports realm, and some people were like pushed back, like, no, it's punk rock. It's like, but it was like, yeah, but like skaters punk rock, and then like snowboarding still punk rock. Like, so we kind of like it melded into action sports, and some people were not cool with that. But I was all down with it because I was coming up and like we're doing snowboard events, we're doing skateboard events, and I think that is what Slug. Yes, it started as like DIY punk magazine and music review.
Oh, total DIY.
Yeah, but it has to evolve.
Yeah.
You know, everything evolves, and so then from 2000 2006, we were doing the snowboarding and skateboarding along with the music, and when I hit 30 years old, I did some other stuff, but like I had a 5-year relationship that ended when I was 30.
Oof.
And
that'll fucking put it right.
Or it can be good for you.
Well, what it did was I went to Utrecht down the street. Used to be
Utrecht. Shout out to Utrecht.
Dick Blick now. Dick Blick, Utrecht. I went there and bought.
Get your dick in the blick.
And I got $500 of paint canvas and I started painting.
Yeah.
This is when I was 30. So I'd done the photos. I'd done the event marketing.
Yeah. I'm sure you're a Photoshop master too.
So then I started learning graphic design at the same time. But I hadn't painted. I'd drawn, I'd done artistic things, but I hadn't started painting until I was 30. And then I started painting in June, and my first show was called By the Hour, By the Week, and it was all the old motel signs down State Street.
Okay.
So like all the Bobs and the Alta.
Am I pretty sure that Tim Osler has a painting of yours?
He does, the Temple Motel.
Oh my god, dude. It's a fucking honor to meet you, man.
And that was my first
I've seen
show.
that painting for a long time. It's a great painting, man. Great painting. Yeah.
So that was the big concept was motels down State Street. And so if I had to say like a favorite American painter, it's Edward Hopper. Edward Hopper is Americana. It's just like, this is a scene.
Yeah.
And I love that because he's good at what he does, but it's not photorealism. It's just like paint a scene.
Yeah.
And so I went down and took photographs of these old motel signs on State. And then a couple of the paintings, I stayed in the motel for the weekend.
Nice.
So I was like immersed in the art. Really, I was just standing around with a medium format camera taking photos of like these bad motels, like seedy motels.
Oh yeah.
And then painting inside them for a weekend. And then there used to be a coffee shop on the campus of Slick there on the front. It used to be an auto repair shop. It turned into a coffee shop, and Bob, who passed away, but he used to own Sugar House Coffee, owned that. And so I was on State Street as well. And I was like, Bob, I'm painting these things, and I like have my first art show at your shop. And he's like, oh yeah, go ahead. So I brought in beds and like dressers and lamps, and I made it into a motel.
Did you get with any prostitutes?
No.
That's a joke.
No, but that night, so that night, I had my first art show, like State Street. I had a thing. It was like, wow, this is happening. But I spent the night in my motel.
Nice.
Installation.
That's some Jack Kerouac shit.
Yeah. It's like, no, this is, and I was like, there's photos of the motels and, you know, and that, so that was in November. And then Bob from Sugar House Coffee in January was like, hey.
Old school Sugar House Coffee? Or
not on the corner, because I was doing the chalkboard there.
Yeah.
Like the chalkboards of the Blue Cats / Sugar House Coffee.
Blue Cats was the shit.
Yeah. So they went across the street in the 2-story over by Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
So I did a mural of old Sugar House iconic images.
Oh, the black and white one.
No, it was all color.
Did you do the new one that's black and white? By the new Sugar House Coffee?
Yeah, I did that one.
Yeah.
The 1940 Sugar House.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, so
that's
the old one was like 2 stories, but I'd never painted a mural before.
Yeah.
And Bob was like, oh yeah, do you want to paint this 2-story mural on the inside? And I just had an art show. It was like High in Life. I was like, yeah, I'll paint it. He was like, how much? I'm like, $500. Like, that sounds, you know, and it took me like a month and a half to paint it.
Dude, that's exciting because that mural, like somebody told me about it. I'm like, I don't know that artist. I don't know many artists, but I saw it because I live in Sugar House. And I was like, damn, that's
He lives above Ranch.
That's tight.
Oh, you see it every
that's
day you want to walk around the block.
In, man. That's it's like Mr. Fucking. Somebody had like some really good insight.
Or, you mean the black and white?
Yeah.
Yeah, or a 1-inch brush that he used for a month to paint that whole thing. Yeah. Yeah, so that, I mean, and that's the weird roundabout thing. So, I'm 42 now. Yeah. So I did my first art show at 30, first mural at 30, and then I started doing these logos of the ski resorts, because I was working at Ski Utah.
Yeah.
Part-time in the winter, and then I was working like bartending at night. And I did the logo. I painted all the logos as footprints in the snow, and I thought it'd be such a cool thing. And it was, and I had a gallery show, like a gallery stroll show.
Yeah.
And so within 6 months of painting, maybe a year, I had a gallery stroll show, a mural, and an art show. And I was like, holy shit, like this is amazing as an artist that you can do all this much work. But I think I just pent up so much information, like...
That's heavy shit.
Yeah, then I was like, oh man, I'm going to create. I want to create so much.
And Your mind as an artist can get overwhelming at times.
Oh, it's insane. This rat trap, I wouldn't want anyone else to have this hat because it is a nightmare. Because I had so many...
Especially in the COVID times.
Oh,
it's like, oh
we'll end up with the COVID times. We're going chronologically here. Yeah. We'll end up the COVID time where we go insane. But yeah, it was like a really fascinating like moment to where I was like, oh, I can do this. But then after that, there was no more art shows. Like it was actually Bob's friend that helped me get the gallery stroll show. So, you know, it's these interconnections that, like, all these years of working and networking paid off.
Yeah.
But it paid off, like, once or twice. And then I kept painting, but then I didn't have a place to show. I didn't have a gallery. I didn't have anyone talking to me because I was just a kid, you know, and I was in the, and I wasn't in the scene too. Like, grandparents passed away, so I was living in the point of the mountain. And so, like, even though I'd spent years, formative years in Sugar House, and I saw Trent Calls like a 17-year-old, like I was, like sketching his little book.
Yeah, he's a mastermind.
Oh, he's the.
Yeah.
He's
try to get him on here, Trent.
Trent.
Try to get Sri.
Trent and Sri. I was gonna say, like, those are the.
There's only so many times in a year.
Yeah, those are the artists
two of the greatest Salt Lake artists.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And those were the ones that came up and still to this day.
Who's Benny Cracks?
Yeah.
Cracks.
Benny, man. Like, there's incredible artists there, and I was not in their league. Like, I didn't go to art school. I didn't do any of that stuff. I just had some shows, and I know how to throw an event. I know how to, like, put things together.
But you reformulated your neurological connections to art, and you were able to do it.
Yes. And it's still an evolving situation, obviously, with all artists.
It's always going to be evolving, dude.
And so
like,
then,
I'm a nobody painter, and I could paint this way Sunday, and I could paint a different way Monday. You know,
right?
It's just.
Well, and I don't know, like, even as an artist, like, if it's best to be trained or untrained, I think it just gives you a leg up.
Yeah.
In the sense that, you know,
it does give you a leg up, but it gives you a leg down in some ways.
Right.
You know. Like,
well, and I think it's, and there's, you know, because I can't say, like, where the best learning technique is, but I understand that if you're being taught by a teacher, then you're learning the things you're being taught.
Yeah, it's hit and miss, dude. What hits and what misses.
Right, and I think even, like, general life, I think artists are, like, we need more self-esteem. We need more like self-worth, encouragement. Because most of the time when we're doing these things, we're doing them in isolation. And I'm glad that we had that experience or I had the ability and self-esteem to, like, do these events. So I started Art Adoption, which was just a twice-a-year event. Yeah. Where I just got my friends that were doing art. And then find a place, put the art, sometimes have a band, sometimes not, just sometimes put in music, and just bring free booze, and just have our own art shows.
No, which one?
Because that's like the thing that the Gallery Stroll, Salt Lake, Gallery Stroll, shout out to you, you're blowing it. Goddamn blowing it.
Well,
like, it starts from...
We're in a different phase of life right now, though.
Well, no, but there's, like, even back in the day...
Artists are taking the biggest hit to the nuts of anybody.
I'm not talking about that.
Restaurants and artists are taking the...
Musicians, entertainers.
We haven't chronologically got up to COVID-19 yet.
Yeah.
We're talking about the last 10 years, this is Gallery Stroll. It's one day a month, third Friday, from 6 to 9. Yeah. 6 to 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So all the work and all the artists and all the people go to one gallery for like 3 hours. It needs to be 5 to midnight for Gallery Stroll.
Like old school, like actually 5 to no hour.
Yeah, no hour. But for legal reasons, like
let's go full fucking Latin America.
Yeah, let's say like 1 a.m.
Yeah,
but,
let's go full carnival.
Yes, I mean, I would be down for that. But what the art scene here is doing is they're kicking themselves in the nuts because they spend all the time and energy promoting an artist show.
Yes.
On Gallery Stroll. They open it for 3 hours. You can't get from one side of town to the other side of town, eat enough grapes and free cheese to make that worth your time.
Grapes and fruit. That's my next song. I'm gonna make a hit album called Grapes and Free Cheese. Grapes and free trees.
I don't free trees too.
Yeah, that does it too.
Yeah, I just don't understand why the art community doesn't want to spend like if I own a gallery and I always end up back at Feist or Bar X or Copper Palette because they stay up or Guthrie Studios.
Yeah.
Because they stay open later than 9 p.m.
I've never been into the Guthrie. Could never
Are you
figure
insane?
out how to get in
Seriously, it's the door next to Feist and the pizza joint.
One time it was locked. And
it's the door between there.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in there. I'm like, the door's locked. I can't get up there.
Oh, it's gonna blow your mind. Randall Lake is in there.
Oh yeah, Randy's a good guy.
Yeah, he's on the top floor.
Randy on here.
So the gallery stroll needs to evolve. It needs to be like longer hours, and they need to like. So this is the whole reason why I started my own art option. You go in there, everything's overpriced because the gallery's going to meet their margins. They're going to take half or more from the artist. They promote it for 3 hours, and they already have a client list that's just dying off quickly. That is going to be a collector of some sort. The younger generation needs to do their own art shows or get into the gallery stroll and convince them that it is not a 9 p.m. shut off. It is a 5 to midnight kind of thing. And make affordable art.
I think there's a pretty good party going on with that at the old school. What's the place down there in the industrial area on 17th South?
Granary? No, 17th South. Willie's?
Poor York.
Oh, that's like 30th South. Yeah, Poor York has
it's kind of a party though. Like,
no, Bradslaw does it, but they only do it twice a year. They have a spring and a fall.
I don't care about that. Yeah. You go down there and it's like you can plan on hanging out till it.
And I purchased art from there.
Yeah.
And so that is where I kind of took the art adoption
Shout out
model.
to Poor York
And Bradslaw. Boom.
Yeah, Bradslaw, we're gonna get your ass.
And Poor York. So they've done the exact same thing. And they open their studios, they create a vibe, and the people go there by the hundreds.
Yeah.
And they stay there, and I purchase art there. What regular people, like working artists, and
I've had tons of friends that had studios there, but they were just like, I don't know, I got out of there.
Yeah, it's a 2-year, twice a year kind of open show
that
studio.
Many people came through and like, you're confident in your art. Like you could like make a living off that shit, dude.
Right, but not on twice a year. And this is what I found is, this is what leads us into murals, is I'd sell some paintings at even my own shows. I was never invited back into a gallery. It was just a friend's gallery that I was able to get into. No gallery owner. First you got to get a name, then you got to have like the authenticity of this painting, and you got to have some.
Then you got to get your tax records together.
Oh yeah, then you got to do, and then you got to have some emotional statement of what this painting means. Some bullshit you make up.
I like to paint, is what I used to.
Yeah, that's great.
I like to paint.
How about I just made this? It's never been created before. It'll never be created again. Done.
Well, let's talk about murals then, because we've been talking. Like we want to bring you back because we want to go even deeper, but we don't want to make it too long. Let's talk about your latest mural, which is like pretty much famous in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Here we are on round 2 at studio number 2. Let's talk about murals. Let's talk about murals, baby.
Let's talk about
you and me.
Yeah, murals. Like, I grew up. My dad lived in Seattle or South Seattle, and then I'd go to snowboard and like hood snowboard camps.
Windles?
High Cascade. I was a High Cascade guy. Nice. So I mean, I was like reviewing like snowboard camps, and so I'd go to Portland and Seattle in these summer road trips and see public art. And Salt Lake wasn't, it's barely getting into that edge of being known for public art and being funded by the city. So up until this, traditional call for artists were sculptures or landscape design or, there's foundries, foundries on State Street that actually were giving actual classes in molding and sculptures because that's where the money was. And my friend Renya had the idea of like doing Wynwood Walls is in Florida, and recently the Rhino District is doing the same thing, getting an area that's dilapidated and underfunded, creating an art space, and then gentrifying it, for a better word, into an art district. And so Wynwood Walls was in Florida, and then Rhino District started in Denver. And so my friend Renya had gone to Windward Walls. I was like, hey, why don't we do this in Granary District? And so with that, she and I connected through a Google Doc. Other artists were connected, and a year later, the city funded the Granary District murals. And that was the first public funding put into public art.
Yeah.
This is art for everyone. And so then we had 11 murals that were created by artists in the Granary District. And that was the first lump sum, like Trent Call, Mike Murdoch,
Murdoch's a motherfucker.
Chuck Dilla, Chuck Landvetter, like they've all done public art, but this was the first like cohesive.
Call them out and tell them to come hang out
Trent, Mike,
do an
Chuck.
interview.
Trent and Mike
do an interview.
I mean, Trent.
We're harmless. We're harmless.
Yeah, Trent and Chuck are actually cousins. You know that? And so they could come as a duo and talk about their family history. And
Halloween, like Frankenstein and Dracula.
Trent's father is a great woodworker too, so
he actually had a studio here.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That is, old school.
Old school.
Yeah, this place has a lot of history.
Created the headphones here.
Yeah, it's got a ton of history, so.
That's gone a long way.
But like public arts is only in infancy, like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think the perception is like it's been around for a while, but I think the artists who have been working as artists for a long time. So after my like Sugar House mural, I didn't do any of the murals. I was living in Spain 5 years later for the summer, and I painted an 80-foot mural of this Spain town that I was living in. So when I came back to Salt Lake, I was like, man, I really want to get into murals, and I don't know how to do that. And then the Granary District came up, and then I was able to paint on the side of Fisher, and got my first official mural. And I was a designer at City Weekly for almost 4 years. And when I got the commission to do the mural, I quit my job. And I was like, well, I'm just going to be a mural artist now.
Cool.
And so I did the Fisher mural, then I started doing like the Sugar House one you talked about, like the black and white one.
Total black.
Like
by the way, that's kind of one of my steez. Like, I love starting up the painting out with black and white.
Oh, yeah. And that's all
then you just slowly like put a little color if you need to.
You evolve it.
Or you just leave it black and white, like what you did with the mural over there.
And
like,
those both
straight black and white.
Like 6 tones, and it was a 1-inch brush on a 40-foot wall.
That's dope, dude.
That's like
how they were. Kid?
No.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
I mean, both those. Like, there's one on Fisher.
I've been down there, so.
No, if you go over to Sugar House Coffee over by Bronx and over where I live, like it's right there on the wall before Sugar House Coffee.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going.
And it's like circa 1940.
On the wall, as I say.
I'm going.
And so like those are like I first paid gigs.
On Sugar House Coffee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, by Sugar House Coffee. And those were my first paid gigs as a full-time mural artist.
Nice.
And then winter happened, and then I realized that.
Then COVID kicked your ass.
No, that was later.
We're talking the future. Sorry.
No, but winter, if you're going to be an outside mural artist,
it doesn't work.
Save your money.
Yeah.
Because winter here does not conducive to doing that.
No.
But it's also not conducive to like, cool, I got one mural. Like, I felt really good.
Neither is spring.
Well, right.
Because it rains too much.
And then summer's too hot.
Yeah.
And so like
you need like a 90-degree day to go out and do a mural.
Oh,
and
I mean, 70s preferred on a north wall.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you learn these things and, like, so there isn't a long history of public mural art. There's been commissions here and there, but now each city is kind of, like, stepping up and doing their game. Like Park City, Salt Lake, West Valley, we completed another one in West Valley Park a couple weeks ago. And so now cities are investing into murals. So now there's more opportunity for more artists to come up because there's more opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think we just grew up as a city enough to get into the big boy league of a big city where murals are a thing. And so now I can finally like do it full time, and I've been doing it 2 years last August 1st. So like 2 years and 2 months.
There we go.
And that's it. Like it's a very short span.
Yeah.
But now I have a lot of work.
Public art is so, like I think it needs to be both sided. Like public art, like this and that. Like there's so many good artists that like if it wasn't for art, I wouldn't be on social media. But I do Instagram because I like to follow other artists and shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I like to be inspired. Like when I was in art school in fucking Westminster, like the teacher was like don't be afraid to like copy, like almost like a Steve Jobs kind of thing. Like research every artist you dig and like redo it in your own fucking way.
100%.
Yeah.
So I said earlier, like my favorite American painter is Edward Hopper. My favorite mural artist / street artist is Blue. BLU.
Okay.
BLU, Blue, has done, I don't even understand what he does. And I juxtapose like way back in the day.
I got like 100 juxtaposed in my house.
But like Blue, like I have his book, but like I've been following him and he has a really weird like website, but it documents his stuff and no one knows the same thing, like who he is. He doesn't go by a name, he's just Blue, but he creates, and mostly in Europe and South America, the most amazing, detailed, intricate, insane art. And like Blue is hands down like my favorite street artist. I like shit, dude. There's one dude that does these huge ones. There's just like swirls and like bright colors and shit. Like very like Picasso-esque. He's not the depth guy, right? With the layers of color.
There's so many good artists.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
there's so many good
though,
artists.
like I'm painting full time now. So when people like come up to me, my favorite thing is if I'm painting a mural. One is like I have a job painting full time. That makes me very happy because I get to pay my bills with creating art.
Yeah. And
the second thing is like the interactions of the community. When you're on a wall, it's like Taxi Cab Confessions where like people come up to you and you're like, they just tell you your life story. Because you're an artist, you're painting, like they feel vulnerable enough to like just open up and I'll put down my brush and like, let's talk. And that's like the second thing I love the most is the interaction with the community in which you're painting. And I think that's really important. So I was painting Harvey Milk on Harvey Milk Boulevard. Mm-hmm. So the name was remade Harvey Milk Boulevard. But then when I painted Harvey Milk, the landlord is gay, homosexual. And but then when we did the dedication,
nothing wrong with that.
Oh fuck no, they're my best friends.
Yeah.
But I loved it because the name on a sign is different than seeing a visual representation of a person. And so now I love doing portraits because portraits, like, they have power to like command space. Like they create the space, and that's what public art does.
Well, you look at the ancient ruins of Egypt and South America, and like that's what they used was art, like sculptures, like ancient Greece, like a temple with all these like perfectly carved fucking sculptures, and like, come see this shit, and like people are like, how the fuck did they do that?
Right.
You know,
and even now we don't know how they did it.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. And there's like so much about the history of, and that's why I was saying in our break, like art is the most powerful form of language.
I agree. I totally agree, man.
I mean, it could be street art, it could be hieroglyphs,
Sculpture,
it could be sculpture, it could be
writing.
Yeah, text.
Or
it could just be
books.
a kid
Yeah.
drawing. And those are the things that, like, when I was a server, I would walk by a table and the parents don't give a shit about the kid being there. And I'd turn and, like, draw a dragon, wearing a jetpack, flying over the moon. And the kid would look at me like, uh-huh. And I'm like,
I got it.
Draw that.
He's like,
yeah.
I got it.
Like, why wasn't the parent encouraging their kid to be that creative? To have that, like, imagination to where, like, their day-to-day lives aren't dictated.
Yeah.
It's like, create art. It is a powerful tool.
We grew up in a Lego generation.
Right.
Where, like, my brother used to call my Legos vandalized. Because, like, I'd build the dopest shit, but nothing, like, matched each other. But I could build the structure.
Right.
Whereas other, like, people, like, you know, they build it up perfect, you know, like. But we grew up in a generation where, like, you could build huts.
Yeah. And
you could go out and you could create life for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I think now everyone's scared.
I'd like to see it back that way.
Well, yeah, and everyone's scared. And so what I would say, like, if anyone's watching this and wants to know what to fucking do, is this.
Yeah. I don't have kids, so I ain't no fucking...
But we... Two people watch this. But
we raise nieces and nephews. And, like, we have, you know, younger generations around us. But even, like, they're 20 and 30-year-olds who are like, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. Like, how do I do this? Number one, get over any... like conception that anyone else has a better idea than you.
Yeah.
They don't. And it's naysayers who are mostly stand on the sidelines and say, I don't know how to do that. So just do it. Like if you fail, you're not failing, you're trying. And if you're trying, then you're doing something and you're moving forward and you're creating. I know a lot of artists who create small pieces of work. Make that big. That's literally all a mural is. Make this little guy that big. Use a roller, use a brush.
Thank you for participating in our very, very good discussion about the future of art. And thank you.
Cheers. Great to meet you guys. Thanks for having me.
Gracias.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Salud.
You're amazing.
Cheers, guys.
Salud.
Thank you.
An hour later, one is to see this girl came inside. In the hood bag in the back of the car, it was down for the man.